Welcome along to the continuation of Portfolio Landlords Week here on Property Tribes, and whenever you're out and about at events, it's a great chance to meet other landlords, and today we've met one such landlord, a Property Tribes member, so we thought we would get him on board for our Portfolio Landlords Week. I'm joined by Samy, who is a portfolio landlord in Bath. And Samy, we were just chatting before we set the camera up, and I was instantly attracted to your story and how great it was for this week. Tell us a little bit about your property and landlord journey.
So basically, I've been a landlord in Bath for 18 years now. I have pursued buying two-bedroom apartments in the centre of town with the view of finding renovation opportunities, doing them up and then leasing them for the long term. And I've managed to build up a portfolio of 8 properties all in the centre of Bath. However, it is a good fixed income, but I've very much noticed the short stay market emerging, especially in a location like Bath, which has become more popular with international tourism. And I've come to a short stay show today to simply explore the options to develop part of my portfolio, to diversify. And the other aspect of that is to mitigate my tax position as well, potentially, given the changes that have happened over the last 2 or 3 years.
Indeed, and I think we should point out we are on location at the Short Stay Show in London, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we want to give credit to the organisers. But it's a good illustration that the portfolio landlord doesn't ever sit on their laurels or stand still. The good portfolio landlords, the successful ones, they're always looking at new ways to grow, always looking to learn, always looking to diversify.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, for example, with myself, I've always tried to foster very close relations with letting agents in the city. I've recently joined, I have to admit, the NLA, which has been a great source of information for me about the compliance, regulatory environment. But yeah, certainly now we're living in an environment where, technology is creeping into the sector, environmental matters, and there's so much in the space, of course, when you talk about finance, managing people, contractors especially, and also the expectations of my tenants. And I'm always looking at, within my own portfolio, how I can improve things. I'm somebody that aspires to offer very high quality accommodation because we're in a very desirable city. And of course, not only from the point of view of letting, but of course one day perhaps I'm going to be selling. So I want to make sure my property is desirable across all buyer spectrums, perhaps. So I'm keeping very open mind like that. And of course, looking for new opportunities as well.
Indeed, and you've got young children, and they are always in your mind, aren't they, when you're thinking about growing your portfolio and what you want your portfolio to achieve for you. Having a reason to do this and having that why, I think it really does motivate to keep moving forwards.
No, absolutely. I was afforded the opportunity in the 2000s that my parents bought me a property. They could see the importance of home ownership, of course, as an investment. And in the position that I'm in now, I would like to think with some of the properties that I do hold that I'll be able to pass them on to my children, and they can take the benefit of becoming landlords themselves, or even perhaps moving into those properties to get on the ladder. So it's very important. Yeah.
It is. I mean, part of this week we're looking at how maybe the gap between the small landlord with 3 or less properties and the portfolio landlord with 4 or more properties is widening, because we've already touched on the tax issues, how lenders look at portfolio landlords differently, and I do think that the mindset of the portfolio landlord is different as well. For instance, you are here today with your learning hat on. I think that shows that portfolio landlords, they're always kind of looking to the future, looking for new ways to improve. And you're also looking at your existing stock and seeing, well, maybe a couple of those might work out as holiday lets. Certainly in Bath, I think they would. So you can come here and get all the information. So you're really not only working on your business, not only working in your business, you're working on your business.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, as a landlord now, I've taken more responsibility and ownership, for example, of the accounting side of my business. So I've applied the Accounting Zero software, which is fantastic. I've also switched to a more property-specific accountancy firm in Bath to get decent tax advice as well, and also to look at the way one can own property either in my own name or through a limited company. I've done a few transactions recently into a limited company, and of course get all the information I can about short stay rentals to diversify my portfolio and hopefully have a better balanced portfolio and hedge myself against inevitable, government policies that could affect me negatively in a tax way. So, yeah.
Indeed. When you started out 18 years ago, I think it would be fair to say that it was a lot easier to grow a portfolio. I think, and please correct me if you don't agree, I think it is more challenging now for some of the reasons that we've touched on. What would be your advice to somebody that's currently at 3 properties wanting to take that leap forward to being a portfolio landlord in the future?
Sure. So to give you some insight, recently I bought somewhere that I completed in November last year, but the whole application process, of course I use a mortgage broker, so first and foremost get yourself a decent mortgage broker. Regardless, it is worth the money if you're going to pay a broker to act on your behalf and submit your application. That is key. Ensure that you have all the information to hand about your personal circumstance. In terms of growing your portfolio, if you have a few properties at present, I would say you need to really focus on a niche within the market you're currently operating and see if you can eke out opportunities there. Certainly back in the day when raising finance was much easier, it just seemed to make sense to, okay, if I can take out a deposit here, I'll just go and buy something similar. Now the market is definitely changing with the impact of government taxation changes and of course the whole regulatory framework. So it's better to be a specialist, and I would say in some ways it's better to have maybe fewer properties and make a better return than have a lot and you're spread thinly, and perhaps that may negatively impact on the quality of your accommodation. You may have more issues. Certainly what I found is that now I have 8 properties, I have a lot of paperwork to stay on top of. I don't mind, that is my full-time job, but I'm looking for efficiencies all the time. Certainly technology to make it a very slick operation. So, yeah.
Well, fantastic insights. You've been a landlord for 18 years. You're obviously very committed, and it sounds like you're still, you've got that laser focus. You're still moving forwards.
Absolutely. I'm looking for new opportunities, and even perhaps maybe reducing my portfolio and taking a step back and reconsidering my future direction.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, Samy. Thank you very much for taking part in our Portfolio Landlords Week. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, please click across to propertytribes.com. That is where our discussions are hosted. And we've got more Portfolio Landlords Week to come, so stay tuned.